Okay.
It's
Is
all-
it okay if I
Yeah.
because I can't get on here.
I know who fixes that.
Yeah, Jason.
So anyway, they're all, I have there with the exception of but that's the PowerPoint. So.
Right.
I think I need my face in there.
No, it's very nice to meet you. I didn't want to meet you anyway. We'll make it work. So, thank you.
Okay, thanks for coming tonight, everybody. The big crowd. We will get started with call to order and pledge of allegiance. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first thing on the docket is approve the consent agenda. Are there any questions on the consent agenda from anyone?
We approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second for?
I'll second.
All right, motion's been made to approve the consent agenda, has been seconded. You see if there's no issues, it passes unanimous. Yeah.
So if you have
All right.
questions, you ask them.
What's that?
If you have questions, you ask
Oh,
them.
do
Yes.
you want to pull something?
Pull something out,
Yeah.
yes.
Or if you have a clarifying question, yes.
We're gonna do bills later.
Oh, yeah, no. Oh, well, no, I just had a question about on the oversee, the director, the appointed to oversee the following district programs.
Yes,
I had a question about the title
okay.
one. So I didn't know if I needed to pull that.
We'll pull.
and-
Yes, why don't we just pull it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, that's a good thing to do.
Discuss.
Okay, we can put that,
All right, since the motion's been made though, do we want to, would you retract your,
Rescind the second.
all right. Previous motion's been rescinded, been requested to pull the, I forget what we call
consent.
it.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
the item out of there.
It is actually the authorized district representatives.
Yep. To pull the authorized district representatives out, and we will move that into new business C. All right, any other questions with the consent agenda? All right, as none, it passes unanimous. Next, comments, recognition, correspondence.
Yes, Mr. President, I'm so pleased to have with us tonight Nicole Sarton, and I'd ask that she come forward. Nicole is representing the Knob-Noster branch of the Trails Regional Library, and we were willing to recognize the library and Miss Julie Dole, our branch manager. They have been tremendous partners in education to us. Nicole's helped us as well. I know she was great about helping us advertise for summer school and doing a complimentary library science STEAM type theme at the library this summer. But they also have been so great about donating the use of their new conference room facilities there. We've had outreach meetings there. I think our teacher group has used it. We've had various trainings down there. So really want to thank you. We've had our mentoring training down there. So on behalf of the Knob-Noster Board of Education and School District, we just want to thank you for being a valued partner in education. And thank you for coming tonight to represent the library.
Thank you. Okay. Next item, reports, superintendent report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I did want to provide a monthly financial update, and we have our new SysFin system up and running, and we also are learning how to use a lot of the new report settings on there, and thank you, Renee. Ms. Taylor has helped us a great deal with that, and we are at a point where I'd like to give you some trends here. Year to date, revenue generated is at 19.9% of the anticipated amount of the budget. The year-to-date expenses realized thus far is 15% of our budgeted amount. And so obviously our budget trends are healthy for the first quarter of the fiscal year. We're very pleased to see that. And in your board packet, we did have a detailed report for you to look at. On the construction update, safe and secure construction projects are 98% complete. Whiteman does have a few lighting fixtures on back order that will be installed upon arrival for the front area there. A pavement correction will be done at Whiteman Elementary sometime this month before the winter. And Knob-Noster Middle School has a fire door hardware on back order and scheduled to be coming in soon and will be installed upon arrival. So that's kind of where we're at on our construction. Open houses in construction with community, in conjunction with community outreach and our survey focus groups and parent-teacher conferences will be held this coming week, October 14th, 15th, and 16th. Thought that was a great opportunity for our patron stakeholders, parents, to come see our new safe and secure entrances at Whiteman Elementary, at the high school, and at our middle school. Also a great time to ask for their feedback on our Mission 2020 survey. So we will be sending that electronically online to parents. Students will have accessibility to this as well as all district staff members. And then we'll be trying to reach as many of our community members as well to take this survey. We are also addressing a few issues with drainage at Whiteman right now, but we're talking with architects and a construction manager about that. And we're also still looking at the high school issues as regarding dealing with the front entryway and looking at possibility of a fence or some kind of landscaping to rectify some concerns that we have there. So our Mission 2020, I spoke a little bit about, but it will be available for a 2-week period between the dates of October 13th through the 24th. This will be our first official step in gathering input from stakeholders regarding the creation of the 5-year Mission 2020 replacement schedule. Again, this plan is to address instructional resources, transportation, technology, and facilities, and to come up with a systematic 5-year plan where we can be fiscally responsible, good stewards, and still work on the areas of concern and areas that we would like to or fix that need to be addressed.
What date was that?
October 13th through the 24th. We're putting the fine-tune touches on our survey right now. It's written, but we're just changing a few things, gathering a little more input from team members, and we'll have that ready to go on Monday. So.
And that'll strictly be online.
It is going to be online, yes. We met with our District Connect Committee. They felt like that we could reach more individuals if we would do these online initially, and then from there we would have some community forums where community members could come in and staff members if they would do so, but we're going to get our initial feedback online. So. Mentoring program update. We are proud to announce that we had our first mentor training last Friday. We trained 33 mentors. We're very excited about that. I'd like to officially thank again Colonel Sparks, Diane Munley, also Amanda Wesley, and our entire district counseling team for helping to facilitate and coordinate this training. And Ms. Munley was so kind to bring me an update this evening as well. That was from you, correct? We have 81 applications distributed, 48 returned applications, and we're doing background checks right now. And so we are on our way to officially starting mentoring the week of October 20th. So, and I am proud to say, and Colonel Sparks and Mrs. Sparks are proud to say, Ms. Mundley, that we met our initial deadline we hoped to meet. We didn't know if we could get it done by mid-October. That was our goal. And it's going to happen thanks to our tremendous community members and for the leadership and support. So thank you very much. It's going to happen. It's going to be a great thing for kids. I personally attended the training. It was very well done. And just a lot of positive enthusiasm for the program in the room, and they're ready to get started next week, I think, aren't they? So we'll be ready to go on October 20th. Another area I wanted to address with the board is because I've been receiving some feedback in the area of extracurricular programming, and I thought, isn't this a great time to look when we're looking at facilities, instructional resources, transportation technology? Wouldn't this be a great time to look at our extracurricular programming as well? So I do plan to ask Mr. Adams and Mrs. Andrade to survey our students for their input regarding student extracurricular programming options. We also will have a short question on the end of our Mission 2020 survey that stakeholders and individuals want to write comments in. But please keep in mind, budgetary considerations will be a major factor in us moving forward and also we have to consider equity issues regarding Title IX compliance, making sure that we're offering, opportunities, equitable opportunities for both genders, yes, females and males. So we'll definitely take a look at that data and be visiting about that.
So is that going out that'll be just on the internet thing, or will that go out on the phone?
We could use the phone thing as an option too. Right now, it's planned to go on the online survey and then an individual survey at the high school and middle school for our students, kind of generate there. But we could use the phone as well. And the parents, yeah. In the area of instructional leadership, I have some exciting news to share with you tonight. And I want you to know that I personally have been advocating for our Missouri River Valley Conference to start recognizing academic achievement. We recognize, our conference champions in athletics, and I think that's a wonderful thing. We need to continue doing that, but I want us to recognize our conference champions and our academics as well. So we're working on that. The superintendents have been working on that. But MRVC, which is the Missouri River Valley Conference that we're members of, student achievement highlights include, we were conference champions in 3rd grade communication arts and 7th grade communication arts. So a great job there, our students and teachers and staff. We were 2nd place in 5th grade communication arts, math, and science. And we were also 2nd place in 7th grade math, 8th grade communication arts, and in English too. So congratulations again, great accomplishments. And then I will have to mention a few third place. 3rd place, we were 6th grade in communication arts. In 8th grade, we were 3rd place in math and science. And then in English 1 at the high school, we were in 3rd place. That's from the East and West. We are in a very large conference. So that is quite an accomplishment. So I just wanted to congratulate our students and our staff for their commitment to their education and to achievement. So something we should be very, very proud of.
Will you be posting that out there also?
Yes. There was a really nice article, I believe, that Mrs. Krause wrote from the middle school about some of the middle school results, but we're going to get that out district-wide. Yes. We were waiting for some of our high school scores from the conference, and we got those in. So I'm proud to announce that. I also wanted to spend just a little bit of time, and I know this was in your board packet, talking about technology integration update. One of our board goals is to work towards implementing instructional technology. And that was one of my goals, to help build instructional leaders that monitor that instructional technology integration, and also to monitor student achievement, particularly in the areas of English language arts and reading, because that aligns board goals as well. So I would like to provide you quarterly updates. Here is the technology one. Our district will use what's called the SAM-R model to monitor the implementation of instructional technology. You'll see the SAM-R stands for substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. And this is really a model to see how technology integration and how computer technology might impact teaching and learning at high levels. And you can see as you progress, the teacher and students progress through using technology, you can see substitution. It's simply just technology acts as a direct tool to substitute. There's no functional change. It's something that you could have done in the classroom anyway. You're just using a technology tool to maybe, and that might be an example of just projecting something on the smart board. That would be an example of substitution. Yes, we're using technology, but I could have posted that on, on the wall, on a whiteboard, that sort of thing. Augmentation, that's where technology acts as a direct substitute with some functional improvements. So there's a little bit of interaction, maybe a little bit of graphing and charting used, with it. But no real deep integration of creation or innovative approaches, new ideas. The modification, technology allows for significant redesign. So we're starting to be creative, to create our own things as a learner using technology. And then the redefinition level, again, creation of new tasks previously inconceivable. So we're really excited to monitor this. We're not asking our staff members we're not saying, hey, we need to see more. Yes, we would like to see more modification redefinition, but this is our baseline data year. We're just asking our administrators, and Dr. Norman and I are going in and observing, what kind of technology integration are we seeing? And the district first quarter of instructional technology implementation, and I did share that in your board packet, suggests that the levels of technology integration really are primarily at the enhancement levels of substitution. That's at the entry level. And that's not surprising because, that takes time to learn how to integrate technology and how to use it as an instructional tool in the classroom. But we do have access to a lot of it, so we would like to see that grow over time. It is our district goal to move towards the transformational levels of modification and redefinition. And with that, I would be remiss if I didn't share that we are capturing some levels of modification and redefinition. And you can see there were a couple examples of redefinition that was on the data that I shared with the board. We're really excited about that. Projects such as putting together a storybook and putting a QR code in, and so a picture will pop up maybe of a favorite animal, and so that's encouraging a younger sibling to read. That's pretty exciting stuff, and our high school students are doing this in some of their business classes. So I really do have to applaud our students, and I do have to applaud Mrs. Allen. She's been doing a lot of those really great projects with our students. I don't know if you've seen their poster or not yet either, but they've created a poster with student activities and programming. They have QR codes, and you scan on that code and it comes up, and it's our students interacting at these activities and talking about these things. That is redefinition. That is transformational instructional technology. We want to see more of that. And I know in time we will. But it does take a lot of guidance and support in that area. One area we've really worked on is making sure, and Mr. Davis has been great in helping us with this, and I want to thank him, and it's the truth. We have put a technology specialist in every building to provide support for teachers so that the technology we do have is up and working. And we're also taking notes of updates that we need and what other technology tools we need and resources. That'll be part of our Mission 2020 plan. But there is some need for professional development and some, coaching as well. So that's just something to keep on our radar. But I did want to give you an update because that was one of your goals, one of my goals as well. I do want to share with you that another, oh yes, I'm sorry.
About that.
Mhm.
And when you talked about some of the very substitution being the first
Mhm.
thing to,
Mhm.
that goes back when we talk about technology, just beyond, I guess I want to say the technology pieces, that's use of the smart board, that's use of not only the laptops, but using the other technology pieces, CPSs,
Right,
systems,
clickers.
and all those things like that that are available to those teachers.
Absolutely.
Technology is just not being solely thinking of kids using laptops in classrooms.
No, absolutely. It's tablets, we have iPad labs,
Right.
many iPad labs. Of course, the CPS systems, the clickers, our smart boards, our laptops, our mobile computer labs that are available to our students, all those things. Yeah, absolutely. And we have so many online resources with our new ELA, English Language Arts series, and with our new math series too, that the more we can provide support and updated resources in those areas, the more I think our teachers will be encouraged to explore deeper levels of integration. And I think several of our teachers are already doing that right now. We're some of them will be sharing at our Professional Development Day on October 13th too, so we're real excited.
And we better to teach themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. 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 The Missouri School Board Association Regional Meeting, Fall Meeting, is a little bit later this year, but it is scheduled for October 30th in Odessa, Missouri. I believe it's at Odessa Elementary School. And if we could please RSVP to Mrs. Taylor, if you'll be able to attend. We'd like to be able to get a count probably by the end of next week. So if you could let us know if you'll be able to attend, we'll definitely carpool up. And it is always a great time of information. There's always a very good program that's presented. And we usually get to see students from the respective schools perform. I will say that they are doing a special information session at 5:30 if we want to go up early on Amendment 3. So the Missouri School Board Association is sponsoring that at 5:30, a special session on Amendment 3. And then at 6 o'clock will be the dinner and then the program to follow. So it'd be great also if we can get a majority of our board members to attend and superintendent and assistant superintendent, then we are able to put our names in a drawing for a student scholarship. And so that we have won it before. So it would be great if we could have a good turnout. And my last report here, that I wanted to give you a NAFIS update, National Association of Federally Impacted Schools. Wanted to give you an update from my workshop and a conference I did attend. The 2015 appropriations are being released currently under what's called a CR, which is a continuing resolution, and will be done so, those monies released through December 11th. What happened was we had thought they were going to be there as well for our visits, and right before they convened, they passed a temporary CR, convened, so we did visit with legislative aides while we were up there. They came home to get ready for the November 2014 elections. So I did want to report that the November 2014 elections will impact the next steps of legislators in addressing the federal budget. We are an 8003 school district, so the initial rate payments are at what are called 50% lot, which is the learning opportunity thresholds. That is under the current continuing resolution. We hope more lot monies percentages are available. They anticipate, they told us from the NAFIS office that they will be somewhere around 80% when it's all said and done, but right now they're at 50% funding levels. Personally, our first payment is scheduled to arrive either in February or March of 2015. Typically, we receive 2 payments a year. Sometimes we're fortunate to receive a third, and that's usually a back payment that has come in from previous years. So I did want to share that with you. I also wanted to share with you that the fiscal year impact aid application window for this 2016, this coming year, we have to fill it out for the prior year, will open December 1st. And the application deadline will be due February 2nd of 2015. And that's what I'm already starting to collect data on. Mrs. Huntsman's helping me with that. Renee's helping me with that. We will be getting that application ready to go. We did make 10 legislative visits on Capitol Hill. I think they were very, very productive. And they were conducted by our Missouri delegation. Legislative aides ask us for real numbers and direct impact on students served by the Knob-Noster R8 school district through 8003. And what it really is Title VIII federal monies. So I was able to share with them the impact, the financial, but also the student impact that money has on our district. Keep in mind, federal impact aid Title VIII programming is part of the ESEA, Elementary and Secondary Education Act. It was signed into law in 1950 under President Harry S. Truman, our Missouri president. And impact aid is a direct payment to school districts for lost local tax revenue and or increased educational costs that are associated with the presence of federal property, activities, and federally connected children. So that's why it's important that we are involved, that we're members of NAFIS, that our voices are heard on Capitol Hill, that we are able to go and share the stories from our district. It's imperative that we continue to contact our state and local legislators, share our district success stories and needs, and advocate for Title VIII monies. I will tell you, it was with great pleasure that I got to share a lot about our STEAM grant and that impact that Department of Defense Educational Enhancement Grant had on our school district. And so Mrs. Williams and I are working on trying to prepare a video so that we can follow up. But that was really a great opportunity for us to, for me to share stories with our legislative aides of our representatives. Are there any questions?
I have one.
Yes.
And this goes back to the extracurricular.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think that maybe, and you all tell me what you know, because I'm not the football expert here, but I think that we need to look into dropping down a conference, maybe to 1A. And I'm not sure what that does, but I think we need to take a look at that. Just going to these football games and sitting on the sidelines and seeing 17 of our kids and there's 70 on the other side. I mean, we're playing these larger school districts and we don't have the numbers to support, I don't think anymore. And I'm not sure what it entails to look into. But I know for my son, he's wearing 2 different jerseys. So he's constantly in the game, in and out. And I mean, there's no rest for him really, unless he gets hurt and he has to come out. But, you know, and I'm not sure what that entails, but I think we need to look into that maybe we drop it down so we're competing against schools, smaller schools.
I will say that our classification is determined by the Missouri High School Activities Association. So we can't control what size school or classification we are because that's based on our total enrollment in our district. But I will say we do have control of our scheduling. Our athletic director does schedule events, and usually those are 2-year contracts, typically most of them that we schedule. So we do have some autonomy to decide who we're playing.
Right.
But keeping in mind that we would be playing the same class schools wherever Ms. Shaw ranks us at classification wise, we would be playing those schools, you know, in district play and postseason play.
So there's never any way to amend that or?
It's just based on our size
Yeah,
of our district.
population, yeah, our student population.
They compare it and we are right actually probably in the middle of that 2A block is where its size is concerned, but then you have some that are larger. We've probably played a few of those, and then you have some that are smaller. So
we over the years we have fluctuated between a big 2A and a tiny 3A. Right now we're at a 2A, I believe, classification due to enrollment. Yeah, and that's set by the Ms. Shaw. Governor, anybody? That's a good question. Very good question. But we do have autonomy on our schedule, you know, so.
Non-conference game.
Yeah, non-conference games, conferences, yeah, we'll do that. Being part of the Missouri River Valley. That's a good question. Thank you.
Any other questions? Dr. Mooney?
Ready for this meeting?
Okay. Sure are.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Missouri School Boards Association's board report for the month of October. We thank you for the opportunity to share some news and information during a few minutes of your board meeting. We begin with a look at the work groups that have begun meeting to review learning standards for Missouri's public school students. Those work groups were created by legislation passed by the General Assembly earlier this year. Members of the work groups were nominated by the governor, lieutenant governor, legislative leaders, MSBA, and other groups. There are 8 groups, 2 each for language arts, math, science, and social studies. 1 group in each subject area is charged with reviewing standards for grades K through 5, and the other will review standards for grades 6 through 12. The initial meetings held in late September were far more contentious than expected, with some work group members opposed to the Common Core state standards trying to hijack the process, according to State Board of Education member Vic Limbs.
And I have to say, I'm very proud of the people who were doing the facilitation, from what I've seen also, that they have been able to continue keeping the groups moving forward. And I want to encourage any of you that are part of that to continue. I know some of our teachers, the comments they were making were such that if this is how I have to spend my days after I've worked a couple of days getting prepared for sub and things like this, maybe I don't want to be a part of it, but encourage those people that this is a process we need to continue going forward, and we need to have an end result, a positive end result.
Limbs made the comments during the State Board of Education panel held during the recent MSBA annual conference at the Lake of the Ozarks. Some legislators were critical of the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education for exercising too much influence over the work groups. But nearly all the groups have decided to continue to use facilitators and note takers provided by DESE as part of their process. The target date for the State Board of Education to adopt new learning standards is a year from now. They presumably would replace the current Missouri learning standards. It's estimated that the new assessments related to the new standards would take about 2 years to develop. Also, during the State Board of Education panel at the MSBA conference, Commissioner Chris Nicastro discussed her recent decision to retire from that position at the end of this calendar year. She said, "It's a good time for change."
But I think that any time you've been through an intense period of change, which we have in the last 5+ years, that it comes time when any organization needs to take stock. You need to pause. I didn't say stop, I just said pause. You need to look at what you've done and what you're doing, make sure that it's working and evaluate what is working, what isn't working, what needs to be tweaked, and how do we continue on the path in another, in a way that's going to continue to keep us moving forward and fine-tuning and implementing all the things we put in place.
State Board of Education President Peter Hershen said during the panel discussion, the State Board could announce a new commissioner at its next meeting. More than 1,200 school board members and administrators attended the 2014 MSBA annual conference in cooperation with the Missouri Association of School Administrators held last month at the Lake of the Ozarks. Among the keynote speakers was Dr. A.J. Nottingham of the International Center for Leadership in Education. He told an audience at the conference, "What is essential for some students is good for all students." And he stressed that building personal relationships is a key to student success.
No significant learning happens without a significant relationship. That's common. That's one of my favorite quotes. And I live that, I think that at the end of the day, it's the trust that we build. So I try to be high touch, not high tech, and there's nothing wrong with an email or such like that. But if I can go and have a conversation and look you in the eye, I'd much rather do that. But I think that there's something about us sitting down, even breaking bread, a muffin or a donut and some coffee. It changes the dynamic from past adversaries to comrades.
In addition to keynote speakers, the MSBA conference featured more than 100 breakout sessions on topics designed to improve the leadership skills of both board members and administrators. During the recognition banquet, the MSBA Executive Director Dr. Carter Ward was honored with the first ever Stand Up for Missouri's Public Schools Award. Dr. Ward has announced his retirement from MSBA effective next June 30th, following more than 30 years as executive director. Also during the banquet, former Miss Missouri Shelby Ringdahl was honored with the Outstanding Graduate of Missouri's Public Schools Award. She graduated from Rockbridge High School in Columbia. Be sure to attend the MSBA Fall Regional Meeting in your area. The meetings will be held later this month and into early November. This year's fall meetings will feature presentations from school districts in your area of the state, sharing ways they communicate with legislators or promote their school districts in their communities. Check the MSBA website for the date and location of the fall regional meeting near you. That's it for this month's edition of the MSBA Board Report. Thanks for allowing us to have some time at your board meeting, and so long from Columbia.
Anybody have anything they want to add from MSBA?
I just like that, I know we were, the folks just that, took the conference, but there was a lot of good breakout sessions. Dealt with a lot of things that are impacting a lot of our schools and stuff. I know we did a really good job of trying to canvas as many of those as we could with the folks that were there. So I think there's a lot of stuff showing a lot of innovation, technology, places in the other areas to improve community engagement. And I know with folks at Kelly was one about
Professional development online.
yes, in the was it the concussion one?
Yes.
Concussion stuff.
I
So
have information on both of those that I would like to talk to the board about sometime.
sure. So I think it was a really good conference again, good to attend, a lot of good information to get. So,
And one of the conferences that Paul and I had the opportunity to attend was on specifically how to use and implement Google documents in your board meeting. And so that was definitely something that I was interested in and thought we, maybe that this time would be a good time to ask the board if Dr. Lorenz was comfortable with it. Since we already, we're a Google for Education school, would that be something that for our board documents that you guys would be willing for us to give it a shot and see if we can make that work? Honestly, it might save Dr. Lorenz some time as far as right now we go onto the website and log in to get those documents. Instead of going to our website to log in, you would just go to Google to log in, or like, I was showing Paul, you can get on your phone. If you have an Android or an iPhone, and if you have it already automatically logged in, you can actually go see the documents right there as soon as Dr. Lorenz posts them. So anyway, if you guys aren't opposed to it, then I think it'd be something she could probably implement for us.
It was the Google Chrome class that we took, and a lot of Google documents with a great class, and so it doesn't cost anything, and everything is stored at the same place. I mean, it's all cloud-based. I'm not opposed to it.
And well, I guess we follow up with Mary Ann to
Make sure she's
make sure
okay.
she'd be okay with it. But
So tentatively, I guess, do we just want to use the same format we're using now, or do you want me to give Mrs. Matthews a call and we'll try something different? In November, you want December try it?
yeah, which we don't want to force your time schedule.
No.
Whatever you're most comfortable with.
Okay.
If you're comfortable with using it in November, I think that
Okay,
yeah.
I'll just check with Mrs. Matthews, make sure.
Sure.
Okay. Be great. I think we lead by example that way too. That's awesome.
Yeah, we could. And I did want to mention on the, during the report, they talked about some teachers that are a part of the writing the new learning standards. And I know for a fact we have one.
Yes,
Do we have
do.
any more?
No, we have one
Okay, so Mr. Perry Duncanson
for this science.
is writing, and he's actually the sole teacher on the 4th grade science,
The
writing.
elementary.
Yeah, for 4th grade science, writing those standards, the only teacher. So that's a high honor for Mr. Duncanson. It's also a little bit concerning that there's only one teacher writing all the standards. That we
It's just his
but-
opinion, right?
And so that will be, we're very honored to have Mr. Duncanson represent us, and he'll do a great job. So, yes, he does. Do a great job.
And I did want to go down to the conference to see, because I hadn't been to any of it. I did find a lot of different breakout sessions that were very important. I mean, they did provide a lot of information, but the one thing that I did notice is that it said you can get this presentation on the MSBA website. I guess there was a certain date by it, so the information is good, but the cost to go down there is, I don't really see the cost as something that I would do to go down there. If I can get the information on the website without having to spend the money to go down there, then.
Sure, I know that usually what they post is just the PowerPoints without any annotations concerning what is presented. I know from you have some presenters that go very verbatim off of their PowerPoints and read PowerPoints to us, and then you have some that go totally off. One of the presentations that I was able to see was our district lawyer, Dwayne Martin, who's not here yet. But anyway, he gave a great presentation and didn't use the PowerPoint very much at all. And so depending on, because I know I've checked out some of those ones, there's so many that I'd love to have gone to that I couldn't go to, that I just checked out the PowerPoints on. Some of them you could get a lot out of, and some of them you just couldn't. So I honestly, going forward, for us to be able to have access, similar to what we're doing online with if they could do that with the breakout sessions to where people could check those out, that'd be really nice.
Like more like webinars.
Yeah.
'Cause the other side you lose to that, just looking at PowerPoint, is also the networking side of that. Hearing the dialogue from other board members of issues they've had, topics you're not obviously going to get that. Even in a webinar, you're not going to get that in that setting, but it'd be a little bit more information than just PowerPoint. But that's the other thing to consider. Then, you're not just getting a PowerPoint slide. It's also that interaction and information from other board members. But it's a pretty good bill too.
But I understand. Yeah, I totally understand your point.
Yeah.
For sure.
I
I
understand.
said I would go.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and I'll attend too, but, I do have it is expensive in my opinion. I mean, it's the taxpayers that are putting the bill for it, so.
I think the information that we gather just from the amount of time, it would have been hard for us to go and piece that together for ourselves. Maybe like with this online professional development, maybe that's something that there will be on future for board members. There will be online professional development. We can do that way and be able to piece it together for ourselves at this point. I mean, to me, it's valuable. We get a lot of information and ideas from it. Probably make you guys insane sometimes about the amount of ideas we come back with. But we got to constantly be pushing forward to try to do better for our students.
Anything else? All right, Whiteman report. Carl.
Good evening. I'd like to echo Dr. Lorenz's excitement and pride in the partnership that we've created with this mentorship program. Again, thrilled at the speed with which we will bring this to bear, and excited to see it grow as we move forward. So I thank you for that partnership. Significant milestone for the military passed end of the last month with the end of our fiscal year. Some of us that's near and dear, but for me it means this year, this space, Whiteman got quite a bit more money than we expected. for programs that include quality of life, infrastructure, buildings, refreshes, those sorts of things across the board. The good news is that it was a very good year for us in terms of capturing that money and applying it to projects. It means the next year is going to be very busy executing those programs and those projects. But that is in anticipation of a couple of lean years coming forward, particularly FY16 for the base. So I just mentioned that for the board's information. Also, for the school at large and for an understanding of what might be going on in the students' lives, the base is about to undertake an exercise we call Global Thunder. The ramp up for that for our base is next week, meaning folks will start to get busy. But the following week on the 20th is we'll start to go to extended shifts, extra long hours, 24-hour operations. Again, our hope would be that that wouldn't impact any of your students. But the likelihood is with mom and dad doing extra and routines and whatnot, there could be some impacts there. And this is a very, very big deal for Whiteman. It and our spring exercise are really why we're here. And so it's a big, lots of senior eyes in our country will be watching as we execute that. The other thing I'll mention from a practical matter, near and dear to my heart, and I'm sure it will be yours, if not now soon, is we just briefed our preseason snow plan for snow days that come up. I'm a rookie at that, being new MSG this year. I've gone through a snow season as the mission support group commander and one in a position to sort of make those tough calls for the base. Certainly, I'll be a rookie in interfacing with the schools. But what I wanted to let you know is we've worked all summer to get our vehicles and our personnel and our plans ready for that. And so we're ready to partner with the schools once Mother Nature decides she's had enough summer and wants to descend on us with some snow. But we're prepared to partner with the schools to make those kind of days as painless as possible for everybody concerned. And that's my report.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, now to new business, approval of bills. So motion for the bills.
Make a motion to approve the bills as presented.
Second. Our motion's been made to approve the bills as presented, and it has been seconded. Yeah. Any further discussion on the bills? As none?
Well, just real briefly, the Bank of Montreal,
Yes.
are we missing a field there? Because we used to be able to say if it was Heidi or if it was, there's no breakdown as far as who, yeah.
We can definitely add
Is
that
that
back.
something
We've had
that we-
different people working
Oh, I
on
can understand
it.
that. But it's something we can capture the data.
Mhm, absolutely.
Good.
And we can add that back.
Sounds good.
Yes. We'll note that. Renee, I'll write it down here too and we'll get that.
All right, no further discussion. All in favor of approving the bills as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 6-0. That was all the bills together, just so
Yes.
everybody's aware we didn't break them down.
We
They
didn't
are
have
broken down in
to.
our package. Next item is an update on student English language arts reading.
Well, this is some data I've been looking forward to sharing with our board as well. This is one of our Board of Education goals, is to work on growing our students, their reading levels and student achievement in English language arts. Our board has demonstrated tremendous commitment to this goal. We purchased the new K through 12 English language arts series. And so I wanted to share with you our first quarter data. And we really looked at this, we tried to look at this as closely as we could to how we would look at math data. Our advanced are those individual students reading above grade level, okay? Our proficient are those students reading at grade level. And then our basic and below basic are obviously students who are at least 1 year or more behind grade level. And the reason why you'll see on some of these charts, some basic and below basic are divided, some are put together, depends on the data tool we're using. What I'm going to share with you right now is English reading data, English language arts reading data. We're going to start with Knob Noster Elementary. We did use the STAR, and we test several times, or a couple times through the year, each quarter. And you will see that our second grade students at Knob Noster Elementary, 48.6% of them are proficient or advanced, meaning they're reading at grade level or advanced in second grade. In third grade, if you'll go to the next slide, and obviously that leaves us, with 51% we need to work towards growing. And again, this is baseline data for the year. You can see in third grade that 65.3% of our students were reading at or above grade level. And keep in mind, this is at the start of the school year. We've had summer vacation. Some of us have read a lot over summer vacation. Some of us probably could read a little bit more. But thanks to summer school, they did read some, right? So the next slide is grade 4 from Knob Noster Elementary. 61.5% of our students reading at or above grade level. We move on to the next slide of Whiteman Elementary. And I know you have this, or let's look at the interventions first. I also wanted our principals to help document and capture what are some interventions that we're providing in each of our buildings to help out. Of course, we have response to intervention. That's what RTI stands for within the classroom. That's a tier 1 support. We do have what is called Head Sprout, which is a tier 2 intervention done by our Title I teacher as intervening with students in small group settings that need that extra support. We also are welcoming in, which is really nice, some University of Central Missouri students. They come on each Wednesday, and they work with our students one-on-one on some reading as well. They all have background checks as well. I want to let you know that. So safe to work with our children. We do have title reading, small group instruction. We have success plans written for our lowest readers, how we can plan for their success, how can we help them. Action plans are written for specific strategies in reading, whether it's fluency or word attack or whatever, comprehension, whatever it's broken down to in the reading skill set. We have Dear Time on Friday, RTI times periodically. Again, drop everything and read. Okay, that's what that stands for. And we have reading challenges to reach 10,000 books at 80% or better on AR, which is Accelerated Reader Test, which is our STAR data too, which is connected to our STAR data. I will say I did see Mr. Coron walking around in a clown suit one day because students had met their first goal in reading. So wanted to let you know that. At Whiteman Elementary, you can see, in grade 2, 72% of our students are reading at or above grade level. Wow. Isn't that tremendous to start the year? And even in the 60s, that's pretty high to start the year. Grade 3, 55% of our students are reading at or above grade level. And in 4th grade, 68% of our students are reading at or above grade level. I want to say we have a lot of strategies in place to support our young readers, and a lot of students working very, very hard. Whiteman Elementary, just to name some of their interventions, are very similar to what K&E provides, but we do have Panther Time, which is our response to intervention block daily. We do have supports for remedial, enrichment, and social groups. And those are some groups, the remedial obviously need to catch up on some reading skill sets, the enrichment for accelerated readers or reading above grade level, at or above grade level. Our social groups are what they suggest for some of our kiddos that need some extra supports in being able to read or maybe read and talk in a small group and to be a good, responsible student and be able to do those things. We have individual student data sheets for progress monitoring, and I assure you, we have lots of data that we track on every student in how they're reading. And I really am very impressed with what we do at both of our elementaries in that area. We do have Title I reading small group instruction. We have instructional coaching for strong tier 1, and that's something that you'll hear more about. We'll probably talk about is our title teachers have turned into instructional coaches so that they are Title I English and reading and math supports to our teachers and students. So that is part of the RTI concept. The response to intervention is if we have good strategies that we're using for all students in the classroom, and then from there, if we have that good foundation, then if we have students that are still struggling, what are some other supports that we can put into place in tier 2 and then tier 3? We have what's called a We Care team for additional resources. And so that's kind of our at-risk monitoring team, that what are some extra supports we need to put, in place. In the middle school, we use STAR data as well. In the 5th grade, we can see that 53.7% of our students are reading at or above grade level. In grade 6, 55.8% of our students are reading at or above grade level. In 7th grade, 50% of our students are reading at or above grade level. And then in grade 8, 46.8% of our students started the school year reading at or above grade level. Some of the interventions taking place, we do have accelerated reading goals, AR goals, reading goals for every student. We do have accelerated reader success plans. We do have RTI, response to intervention, we call it our ROARS time, intervention groups, and we have targeted reading groups, those who are needing some extra support or enrichment help as well. We do have reading skills class for identified 7th and 8th grade students that need extra support. And then with our new series, we have in class built-in leveled readers in grades 5 and 6 through the new Wonders and Collections ELA series, which is really, really nice. Really through, it's important that that we have that reading and that writing together in that 5th and 6th grade, and that's worked out really well. And then we do have, like I said, some extra supports for the 7th and 8th grade as needed. The next piece of data is from our high school, and this is one of the areas that we said over the last couple of years we want to see some more data throughout the year, more formative. So we've worked really hard at this, Mr. Hill. I'm really proud of what we've done with this, and we'll keep working to see what data points we can collect. But a really good job, and our team of teachers, we are using what's called, and last year we just found it, it's called USA Test Prep. It's an online learning module, and they are really a series of learning activities, but also some diagnostic screening tests that we can look at to see how we're progressing in certain skill sets, but also in certain classes. So the first piece of data I'd like to share with you is for our English Language Arts 1 students, typically our freshmen. They are, and as far as reading standards go, and this is a very high percentage, I was really pleased to see this, 72.5% of our students are either are proficient or advanced on this screening protocol in the area of reading standards. The next slide you'll see is in reading standards for informational text. You hear a lot about nonfiction and how we need to be helping our students have more accessibility to nonfiction, more technical manuals, more, well, just factual resources, right? And how to research for them. Well, this piece of USA Test Prep does measure that, and our kids did really well on that. We were at 70.7% proficient in this area, our freshman kiddos. So I was really proud of that. You can see in our ELA2 data, English Language Arts 2, typically sophomores taking this. In the area of reading standards, we had 56.8% of our students who were either proficient or advanced. In grade 10, you can see 64.80% were proficient or advanced in that. Okay, now for our 11th and 12th graders, we had to buy, we had to spend a little money, but it was worth every dime. We had to buy a USA Test Prep reading module. And since all of our juniors will be required to take the ACT, you know, as part of the Missouri Assessment Program this year, it's really important that we had this resource to use as well. This is how our senior students, and all of them took it, scored on the reading section of the predictive ACT test. And 45.3% of our students were proficient or advanced. Out of our senior class, the next slide, 50% of our students were proficient or advanced. Strategies we're using at the high school. We are really focusing a lot of our building PD, led by our teachers, building teachers, on literacy strategies implemented school-wide. Everybody's a reading teacher, not just our English teachers, everybody, every teacher, the PE teacher, the art teacher, we're all helping to teach reading. We have RTI, response to intervention implementation within the classroom, tier 1. We do have the tier 2 interventions. This will be coordinated by our literacy team, and we do have a literacy team at the high school. Again, at the high school, we have foundation students that work one-on-one with our students. Those students that are really struggling maybe need some extra help and support in reading. We also have reading small group instruction during academy time, which is our seminar, which might be considered Panther time or ROARS, the middle school or elementary time. It's daily, academy time is daily. Success plans are written for the lowest students in the area of reading that need some extra support, and action plans are written for targeted skills in reading. So we wanted to highlight where we're at, and keep in mind, this is the beginning of the school data. I will be sharing this data with you throughout the school year, but please know that reading is a priority, and that we have a lot of supports in place and action steps in place to help build and develop our readers district-wide. Are there any questions?
No, I just want to thank you. I'm one of your worst critics in that area. I still don't understand how from high school to elementary, from middle school to high school, we lose so much. Is the criteria so much greater when you get into that area?
I think it gets more difficult, Mr. Hill, and I think the other thing is that some kids just love to read and others don't, and I think reading's a skill you have to continually practice and do. You have to keep continuing to build and expand that vocabulary to develop deeper comprehension skills. And so I think it's going to take all of us to continually provide opportunities for reading, and to have wear the hat of we are a reading teacher too.
I like that, because I've heard teachers in class say, I'm not in reading and writing, I'm up here, you know, and to me that's so wrong.
Right.
Because that kid needs to know how to read and write, whether
Absolutely.
But I thank you for the effort the teachers put into that, everybody, and I think they're in the right direction.
Thank you. They're working really hard.
It'll be interesting to see that.
Over time, it will, won't it? It will. And you know, with the new assessments that are coming, and I know there's lots of questions about those, but what we've seen, you know, we're really going to have really good, strong reading skills and writing skills to do, you know, and we know that's a critical 21st century skill as well. So it's going to be important. We continue to develop and nurture our readers.
do we have access to on someone, because this USA test prep is not just something that our district is using, do we have access to be able to look at data from a wider group of schools that are taking that same test to kind of compare ourselves to?
That's a good question, Mr. Cleveland. You know, I don't know. I'll have to ask him because that
Just be something that, because, you know, when you see that, you know, the 11th and 12th grade levels of our proficiency go down, I just would be interested to see if that's common throughout other schools that are taking the same test.
And that's a good point, and I will look into that. You know, I do want you to know that, like, and I haven't seen the data this year on the percentages, but right at just about a quarter of students nationwide were considered college and career ready in all of the areas of English, reading, mathematics, and science. So if that gives you kind of, you know, a picture, reading's one of those chunks, you know, that's something across the country and across our state, our own local district, that we want to continue to grow our students in that area.
And it is kind of hard too, because we're such a transient district too.
Absolutely.
You get kids that come in and they might not have
Right.
skills.
Foundation.
And we're lumping them in our numbers as well, so it's.
That's why I really wanted to show the interventions. I asked our principals, I want you to write down everything we do to help students, you know, read better, become better readers, and what supports are in place. If a student is struggling or if they're doing really well and need to be, you know, encouraged and pushed a little, you know, to continue to develop their vocabularies and reading skills, comprehension skills. And so I think they've done a really good job of snapshot of capturing those. And in board meetings to come, we may even have look at one of those programs and have them come talk with you about that. So.
But I'd like to just explain to my fellow friend here, just because you're in the military don't mean you're gonna bring it down. There's
No.
a lot of
I know
a lot
that.
of military,
I was in the
right?
military too.
I don't think you in the Coast Guard.
My retirement's the
Well,
same as yours.
Honestly, we live in a rural community, so we have just a lot of rural, non-military, you know, movement also in our student population. So, you know, we have a lot of movement up Highway 50, you know, down, because I've worked in different districts and we traded students along the way. So, some of them.
Dr. Miller, I'd like to commend you on your great redirection there. But I would like to say that this is some great data. All right, it looks awesome. I guess my concern, and I kind of like, you know, not to say you get another tough critic on these things here, Mr. Hill, but I get the interventions. I get the things we're doing. How is this being communicated to the parents of the kids that are in that area that requires this type of interventions? What are we doing to communicate to the parents of that we need these kids to read more, that reading is something they have to do? Because I know personally for my son who is in 7th grade, it is a struggle every single night. He hates it. He doesn't like it. He doesn't like to read. But it's like, listen, you're reading and you're going to do it. So what I'm saying is, I look at it because I see where he's at. I know he has to do AR, right? So I know he's got an AR book. Well, when we get to high school, they don't have to worry about AR. And they're like, that's the greatest thing in the world for them. A lot. Like, oh, no more AR. But what are we doing to inform those parents of how the intervention that's being used? Okay, they're getting the one-on-one, they're getting this, but how are we getting them so that those kids that we got in that below basic and basic, that we move them to the proficient?
I'll say there are a number of things going on. I do know that a lot of this data is on report cards, especially at the elementary level. And we do have a standards-based grade cards at K through 4. So it kind of really goes after some of those skill sets, and so identifies, probably communicates a little more clearly to parents in that way. I will also say I'm hoping this is communicated by classroom teachers and making contacts with their parents, students. I'm sure we'll be talking a lot about this data where we're at parent-teacher conferences, but you're right. I mean, I think there are things we can do through our social media to help promote some reading initiatives. I think I have to say KNE does do a lot with that, with their reading. I I've seen Whiteman Elementary do that with their reading, but we need to do that in summits. And our middle school really has done quite a bit, quite honestly. Do you remember our young lady? She was on Facebook. She had read so many books and had a one AR award or something. So we do try to communicate out, but I think there's more we can do probably in that area. So we work on that.
I'm just curious, I get that part of the happening within school, but, you know, a lot of it has to happen outside of the school.
Mhm,
If
absolutely.
it's not happening at the outside of the school and the parents aren't aware of it, then
Well,
you never see the improvement.
I just have to reiterate, that's why summer school is so important. That's why summer reading programs are so important, like our libraries sponsor and us partnering with them and to promote those. I mean, all those things are critically important and offering something for every age level. I will tell you something the middle school does that I really like too, and I've seen on several teachers, like they'll say, Mr. Thomas, and he's at the high school now, but it's say, Mr. Thomas is reading or Mr. Ringen is reading, and they talk about books they're reading to try to say, hey, you know, reading's a cool thing.
Right.
You know, we all should be reading a book. And so,
Is it like banned book month or something like that? I can't remember. I think that's what's going on up there. The library puts something called a banned book list, and they show people reading banned books, and they're kind of like in jail.
oh yeah, oh yes.
You know, they post pictures all over the school that I was caught reading this. So maybe that's one way for kids in high school to get a little more involved.
Sounds subversive.
Thank you, man.
Right up your alley.
Moving on. And
All right, any further discussion on the ELA? Thank you, good points, everybody. All right, next item is the authorized district rep letter or memo.
And this is something I had put out for our Board of Education. One thing I learned at the training I went to on how to fill out our federal impact aid application is that I had to be designated in the board minutes as the authorized district representative to submit the federal impact aid application. And if I'm not, and they would come and do an audit, then we would be out of compliance, and we don't want that to happen. So just the board granting me the right to submit that application on behalf of the district. The other one was for Mrs. Terry Combs, who is our Director of Student Services. She is part of federal compliance that we list out in the board minutes to the areas of programs that she oversees, which includes Title I, Title IIA, Title VI, English language learners, often known as ELL, migrant, homeless, foster care, educational liaison, the PACE program, which is the former Parents as Teacher program. That's our new name for the PACE program, our critical thinking program, which is our gifted programming, and then our special education services from early childhood through 12th grade.
That was my question.
Yeah.
Some of those on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
So there's a motion, is there a motion to?
I'll move
For
that we
designation.
approve the Board of Education designations as presented.
A second motion.
All right, motion's been made by Matt to approve the Board of Education designations for this school year as presented and has been seconded. Any further discussion on that item? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 6-0. And we have no old business, so I believe it would be that time.
make a motion to adjourn open session, move to closed session pursuant to collective bargaining, pursuant to RSMO 610.021, paragraph 9, preparation, including discussion of work product on behalf of public government body and its representatives of negotiations with employee groups. And B, personnel, pursuant to RSMO 610.021, paragraph 3, hiring, firing, disciplining, or promoting particular employees by a public government body when personal information about the employees discussed or recorded. Also, that pursuant to RSMO 610.021, paragraph 13, individual identifiable personal records, performance ratings, or records pertaining to employees, applicants for employment.
Thank you. Is there a second for that? All right, motion's been made to close open session, move into executive session. has been seconded, pursuant, or to discuss collective bargaining pursuant to RSMO at 610-021, paragraph 9, and personnel pursuant to RSMO 610-021, paragraph 3, and RSMO 610-021, paragraph 13, as presented by Randy earlier. Any discussion on that? Roll call vote, moving to executive. Ms. Davis?
Aye.
I'm affirmative. Matt, motion passes 6-0. Be a roll call vote. All right, take 5 minutes. Is that fine with everybody? Okay. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Wait a minute, still here, Marching.